Hi, this is Dr. Conley again. I wanted to talk with you briefly about some concepts for Chapter 8, which is social class in the United States. Social class, the primary dimensions of social class are wealth and income. If I were to ask you, does somebody who makes $250,000 a year, are they wealthy? Some of you, or I'm curious to see, I wish I could see you now, what your response is. I'm going to just break something down. And I knew someone who worked for a corporate company, food company. And let's break down, hopefully you'll be able to see. Yeah, that's a little brighter. Okay. Let's say $250,000 a year, around $20,000 a month. Like, okay, cool. After taxes, what might that be? $14,000 a month. I see some of your eyes. I see the dollar signs dancing in your head. Wow, that's looking good. Lived in Manhattan. Apartment was $4,500 a month rent. Had bought a Land Rover. So what would you say is the average car note on a Land Rover? Not the Range Rover, but the Land Rover. Probably still around $700 a month. Had 2 kids in private school at $30,000 a year each. That's $60,000 divided by 12, $5,000 a month. Anybody who's been to Manhattan, I took some pictures on one of my cameras of the actual parking rates. But a luxury car, SUV, in New York City garages, you have to add an extra. I forgot how much extra they have to add. They add on. We're probably talking about a garage parking of $600 a month. What are we at? We're at $9,500, $10,100, $10,800, $11,000. Commuting to work, which was like 40, 50 miles away, traffic, bridges. I don't know how much gas. What did you say? About $400 or $500 a month in gas, or $500 a month in gas. Had a nanny. Oh, we haven't even gotten to the nanny. Since they couldn't be home to pick up the kids, they had a nanny who was there to watch the kids. Nanny/housekeeper. I don't know. Somebody help me. Don't laugh when I put this figure up. I'm just trying to put a figure up to try to just give you a guesstimate. Let's say $2,000 a month. Don't email me where this nanny is when you're like, this figure is low. Okay. We're at $13,000. We haven't considered clothes. We have not considered food. Oh, and they shopped at like Whole Foods and ate out at nice restaurants. Cable, phone, utilities. Okay. So just because somebody makes a certain amount of money does not make them wealthy. I am going to give you a wealth formula. Write this down on a separate sheet of paper. To always remember this, because according to Karl Marx, I like to think of you as being bourgeoisie in the making. You all are the CEOs, the great minds, the entrepreneurs. All right. Here's the wealth formula. Multiply your age times your pre-tax annual household income. Annual. And that's gross. Don't include inheritance or anything. Your annual pre-tax income and divide it by 10. And whatever that number is, it's that number that determines your wealth, or when you're wealthy. That's the wealth formula. Take your age times your annual pre-tax income over 10. Let's do a hypothetical. I'm just doing round numbers it's been a long day. I've been here for almost 12 hours. It's been a long day. Okay. Let's take a 25-year-old who makes $20,000 a year. Don't laugh at my math. I'm trying. Let me see. 50, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 zeros added on to the hush. Divide that by 10. Take away a 0. That means that 25-year-old making $20,000 a year should have $50,000 or $50,000 in assets. Assets could mean stock. They could mean equity in a real estate, savings. Okay, so I just want you to keep that in mind and keep that formula nearby so you'll know when you're approaching your wealth status. Although most of you already are, I already know. Okay, and the fact that you're in school getting the education to be able to pursue your dreams, then you're well on your way. But keep this wealth formula in your mind. Okay, now, once again, wealth, assets that people own, income, money that people receive. Wealth and income are not the same. Some people have a lot of wealth and little income, and while others have large income and no wealth, like I told you about the friend up here with the corporate job. Okay, but then some people have a smaller income and they manage their money well. That perhaps they have some real estate investments and equity or additional streams of income, and all that can help to add into that pot of whatever your the figure is for wealth. Okay. Wealth and income are not evenly distributed in the United States. Okay. Overall, Americans are collectively worth about $31 trillion. Let me just write this number up here. I hope you can see it. 31,000 million, billion, trillion. I don't even know if you can see all those. Let me try to move the camera over. Okay. And I'll move my head out the way. That's a lot of zeros. Okay. Money. 31 trillion. 70% of that wealth, around 21 trillion, 70% is owned by 10% of the nation's families. 71% of this 31 trillion is owned by 10% of the nation's families. The super rich in America, the richest 1%, are worth more than the entire bottom 90% of Americans, and they own 40% of the wealth. The richest 1%, somebody help me, I forgot how many million people, 300 and some million people in the United States. So 10% would be 330 million. 10% would be around 33 million. So let's say 3.3 million people. 3.3 million people. I don't even know what the population of Philly, but let's say Philly, relative to all 50 United States, owned 40%, owned 12 trillion. I do this even in my in-person classes just to see the zeros. 3 million people, $12 trillion, 40% of the nation's worth. The top 20% receive almost half of all the income in the United States, while the bottom 20% receive a little over 4% of our nation's income. The gap between the rich and the poor Americans is growing. The poorest 20% receive less of the nation's income today than they did in the 1940s, while the richest 20% are receiving more than they did in the 1940s. Okay? The wealth and income distribution. Consequences of social class. I'm just going to wrap up with this. It can affect family life, education, religion, politics. Family life, including choice of husband, wife, divorce, child rearing. Depending on one's social class, is somebody going to be a stay-home parent? Are you going to both work? Are you going to have nannies? I could tell you about another family that has chosen some of these things where for a while the wife stayed home, and then there was another time when they had a nanny, and the nanny was there more than the parents were. So depending on one's social class and economic income, that can also determine how one raises their children and who one selects as a husband and wife. Level of education attainment and quality of education. If I've not said so already, I'll just give you a quick little observation. I was up at Harvard. One of my classmates teaches there, but I went into the admissions office. If one is admitted to Harvard University and your parents' income is under $65,000, if you are accepted to Harvard and your parents' income is under $65,000, you can go there for free. Tuition, room, and board is $56,000 a year, except for a nominal few $100s or something. All the rest of it is covered. Okay, and then I think if your family makes up to 130,000, parents would not be responsible for more than 10% of that particular cost. Just a little FYI. Political affiliation. Republicans usually higher people on a social ladder. Democrats more working class. Life expectancy. The lower a person's class, the shorter the life expectancy. And I just kind of curiosity of why might you think that is? Things such as, we'll leave it at that. Mental health of people in lower classes is worse than those in higher classes. In part, less job security, the stress of unpaid bills, leading to higher levels of stress, less coping mechanisms. Does one have access to therapy? Can one, like the commercials on TV, want to get away? Can one just go hop on a plane and go somewhere and go on vacation to quote unquote relieve stress? Okay, so those are some of the things, the consequences of social class. Everything from life expectancy, support systems for coping, religion, political affiliation, etc. Alrighty, this is Dr. Conley signing off. I just want to say I will see you next week. If you have any questions, once again, email me. Thank you. Have a great one.